Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Queensberry's Dev Sahni, just a few days out from Joyce Zhang too. How are you doing, Dev?
I'm good. Yeah, you've just said it there. A few days out. Mate, this is such a big fight. And for Joe Joyce, it's everything. Whole career's on the line, it feels like. I know people use that expression quite a lot. He's just turned 38, right? If he wins this fight, he's mandatory for the world title again. If he loses, it's a long way back. So I'm almost feeling the pressure on behalf of Joe Joyce. It's so big. It's such an important fight.
How does the feeling differ now from how it did in the lead up to the first fight?
Big time. Look, we appreciate that Zhang's a good fighter. You know, Olympic silver medalist, gave Hrgovic hell, probably secretly beat Filip Hrgovic. So you know he's got it. But there was a feeling because Joe Joyce was ploughing through everyone, and he juggernauted Joseph Parker. He was juggernauting everyone, and there was a feeling that okay, if you're going to take a fight before the world title shot, you take someone like Zhang because he's come off a good loss, but a lot of people think he won. He's got great credentials as well. But it didn't go to plan. And I think in the build-up to the first fight, people were having fun. He come over, he's done it again, saying the chat shit, get Zhang thing, but there was talk at the press conference of I bang everything. He went for a Chinese with Big Johnny Fisher on the Monday. It was a lot of just like fun and good-humoured stuff. The actual press conference itself was quite funny. I just think with this time, there's going to be a real edge to it. I think Joe Joyce underestimated him, essentially. I think everyone probably underestimated him, and Zhang punished everyone. He punished British boxing, but Joe Joyce has got a chance to get it back, and let's see. I think he's made changes, for sure.
How much of a factor is the eye injury that was suffered all those months ago going to be going into this? Do you feel like that could be a big target, I guess, for Zhang?
I'm not a doctor. I don't know how long it takes for stuff like that to sort itself out. But what I do know is that when Zhang arrived in the UK at Heathrow, I gave him a quick interview, and one thing was very clear. He said he will be targeting that eye. So that's alarm bells if you're Joe Joyce. If there's any sort of problem that's lingering, that fella's going to be trying to whack you in exactly the same place that caused the doctor to stop the first fight. So real jeopardy. I don't know if it's where it should be, but we'll find out soon enough when Zhang starts punching it.
If the unthinkable does happen and it's a second straight loss for Joe Joyce, you say 38 years of age now, where does that leave him? Is that it for the juggernaut?
You almost don't really want to think about it. A big heavyweight like that who has now established himself as a name in heavyweight boxing, there's always going to be fights for him that would get made. But I don't think he'll be top of people's lists. Say someone like Anthony Joshua, right? Another name who's looking to rebuild. Would he want to pick a fight with Joe Joyce? Really? You're going to be in for a hard fight. You're not a southpaw, so you can't really land the same shot. And if you do land the same shot, you might just walk through it. It's a hard fight, so it will be tough. It will be tough, but I don't think we're really giving it too much thought. Let's see if the juggernaut is the proper juggernaut this time. Let's see if he's at the weight he should be at. Let's see if he's made the adjustments he should have made. And if he can juggernaut, big bang Zhang.
In terms of Daniel Dubois, a few weeks back, we saw the low blow, not low blow. People have their own opinions. Queensberry obviously have gone into that and they've appealed the low blow. Can you tell us anything as to where we are with that? Is there any more news surrounding that?
I can't tell you anything, but ask Frank tomorrow. But what I would say on the low blow thing is I would look to the neutrals and get their opinion on it. I would look at video footage rather than stills that have been stopped a couple of moments before the shot lands. Neutrals like Joe Cortez, Jack Reese, referees in America are saying that it wasn't a low shot. Eddie Hearn, Tony Bellew will say it is a low shot. I'll say it wasn't a low shot. Frank Warren will say it wasn't a low shot. So you've got to look towards the neutrals, and I point you towards those two. A couple of actual refs who do this stuff, been doing it stuff for years and years and years. They know what they're looking at, and they know that it wasn't a low shot. So that's kind of where we are with it.
Another date in the diary for Queensberry is Tyson Fury versus Francis Nagnnou. I spoke to one of Ngannou's sparring partners a couple of weeks back in Darren Seeley, who's actually been brought in for a few fighters that were facing Tyson Fury. He says that nobody has ever hit as hard as Francis Ngannou. If you were to put a percentage on the chance that he has against Tyson Fury, where would you sort of gauge that?
I mean, what you could say is that Tyson Fury has been dropped by lesser punchers than Francis Ngannou, right? He's been dropped by Steve Cunningham, Nevan Pajcik back in the day. These guys have had Tyson Fury over. Francis Ngannou, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, hits harder than these guys, so he's got a chance. It's all about if he can get himself into position to actually land that shot. But he might only need to land it once, and he also might only need to half land it. Like a grazing blow could do some damage. That's how hard he hits. You've seen the size of him. He might even weigh more than Tyson Fury. He's an absolute monster. In the UFC, you have to cut weight. I don't know if you're aware of this. You have to cut weight to make heavyweight. So he has to cut down from like 280 odd to make 265 pounds. He's a real giant of a man, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want him hitting me. I think I would die.
Maybe. We'll never find out, will we?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not, mate.
The other side of the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua. It looked, although after the win against Robert Helenius, we were going to be seeing Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder. It now doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Is that disappointing as a British boxing fan?
I've wanted to see the fight for years and years. Whenever I talk about it, I get stick about it. But what can I say? I love that fight. It's less of a fight now than what it was when it would have been, for all the belts, undisputed. I've wanted to see the fight ever since Deontay Wilder knocked out Luis Ortiz the first time. I thought that established him as a real proper heavyweight, because Luis Ortiz for me was a sleeping giant. Luis Ortiz had just knocked out Bryant Jennings, who had given Vladimir Klitschko a fantastic fight. So for me, his stock was particularly high. I thought this is a risky fight for Wilder to take. He took it, he knocked him out, and then he started talking about Anthony Joshua. And I wanted to see it. And unfortunately, I didn't. I kept hearing about how, no, he should fight Dillian Whyte first and all of this sort of stuff. And I just wanted to see that fight. I still want to see the fight. It's a tremendous non-title fight, but a great one.
Who is the ideal opponent now for Anthony Joshua if it's not going to be Deontay Wilder?
Look, the ideal one was Dillian Whyte, really. And because he's got all the profile, they've got the backstory, etc. But I don't know what's going on there. That he would still be top of their list, I'm sure. But if he's unavailable, it's tough. It's tough. It's not an easy one, that at all, because you don't want to take anyone too dangerous who could knock you out. But there's a lot of guys out there that could do that to him now. So they've got to be very selective. I actually don't know. Who do you think?
It's a tough one. It's
a tough one. But do you know what would be fun now? Because it would be a big fight now after all the profile that Daniel Dubois just got. How about Daniel Dubois against Anthony Joshua? An all-British clash, two heavy punchers. Both have got a point to prove to the British public. Both have lost to Alexander Usyk, although one of them secretly knocked him out. I'd quite like to see that. Whether or not it happens is another thing. But when you start thinking about who's actually around for AJ to fight, Dubois has become a name in the division. He's a British rival. So it could happen, who knows?
Another big fight that is not yet made, but maybe around the corner in the next few months, is Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. That was obviously a huge fight the first time it was made, but is that now bigger the second time around? And what would you expect to see from that fight?
I don't know. He's got to get himself sorted out first, doesn't he? I think that's the whole thing with Conor. I think the boxing world collectively are just waiting for this case to be resolved, and at the moment, as it stands, it isn't resolved. So, look, once it is, if it is, then happy to discuss Eubank Jr. versus Benn. But until then, it's almost like a fantasy fight. I'm sure it will happen one day. I don't know when. I don't really know how it goes either.
The final one I want to get your thoughts on is Tommy Fury and KSI. I think most people look at that and they look at KSI as a man that's stepped through the ropes a few times. Tommy Fury, somebody who's been involved in boxing most of his life. Is that how you view it?
I just think Tommy Fury will absolutely batter him. I think KSI hasn't got any idea. I think he's bitten off way more than he can chew. I don't think he understands. From what I've seen of KSI, it's fine, but he's not. Yeah, Tommy's actually been doing it his whole life, and I know Jake Paul, had him over and gave him a decent fight, but I think Jake Paul's 10 times better than KSI. that's the thing. I don't think KSI could touch Jake Paul in a boxing ring. I just think Tommy's levels above both of them. So honestly, I just see Tommy laying him out as quickly as possible. As soon as he wants to do it, he'll do it. That's how I see it. Look, I might be proven wrong. I don't understand why KSI's taken the fight. To be honest, he's going to get knocked out. So, fair play to him for taking it, but he's definitely going to get knocked out.
Does it become dangerous for KSI at any point, that?
It depends how long it lasts. Like, if Tommy gives him a sustained beatdown over a few rounds, it's not great, is it? But I think Tommy will just land something and have him out of there quite quickly, like in the first round. So I don't know. It depends how hard the shot lands. I don't know. But fair play to KSI for doing it. He does want to prove himself. He's quite something. All the stuff that he does, and now he actually wants to take on Tommy Fury, coming off his win over Jake Paul. Big balls on him, but he's going to get knocked out.
Cheers for your time, Bev. Really appreciate it, and we'll speak to you again soon.
No worries, mate.